Hey yo. Hey yo.
As part of this new feature for Scotia, we're going to bring you a series of films looking at the lives and views of veterans. Too often, those who have served in our armed forces are relegated out of the national conversation, seen to be either too nationalistic, whether that's in favour of Scottish independence or in favour of maintaining our connections to the British state. At Scotia, we want to bring you an in-depth look at the personalities behind the uniforms, behind the cut-out soldiers that are presented to you by either the corporations or the media or by the vested interests.
I joined in 1978, joined the infantry, Queen's Own Highlanders, Scottish Regiment. Spent a year in Aberdeen doing basic training as a junior soldier. Then from there moved to join my regiment down in, we were based just outside Edinburgh at the time, and from there deployed pretty much worldwide with them. I also served, I did 14 years with the Queen's Own Highlanders, and I did further 10 years with the Royal Army Medical Corps, transferring over in 1992. I was the least attentive child at school, let's just put it that way. Yeah. I really did just bounce myself through school, to having a head too full of carry on for listening, basically. So when I eventually left school, my options were very limited. I grew up in a place called Thurso, right up on the north coast of Scotland there. So my options were very, very limited. My father had served in the army. He had never glorified it nor encouraged me to join up, but obviously I'd heard bits and pieces, so I went for the forces option. I've had a very active career. So I've got many memories. That's a difficult one to really answer. Huge pride in seeing what the guys and girls were doing, especially on peacekeeping role and that type of thing. Dealing with the casualties, I suppose, during the first Gulf War. I was out there as a medic, so the 4 days of the land war I spent dealing with the casualties and seeing what it's like to be on the receiving end of overwhelming military force is a memory that will always stick with me. I wasn't supporting independence per se. I've always been staunchly Scottish and proud of my Scottish heritage, but it was more along the lines of, like most Scotties, very apolitical, don't trust any politician type of thing. But as I was out and about in the world, I was seeing how other countries were getting on with their life, doing their stuff, interacting with their neighbours, that type of thing. And one thing that had always stuck in me that I had heard as a child was that it doesn't matter how much oil there is in the waters off of Scotland, it was the wrong type of oil, which was a story that was being fed to us at the time. Yeah, and I thought, why is people lying to us? I hadn't heard of the Macron report. I dare say no one had at that stage. Yeah, so as things developed in my army career, I became more self-aware that Scotland could make it as an independent country, but it wasn't until I left in 2002 that I actually got into the independence movement. I joined the SNP, that type of thing. Then leading on from that, when the Edinburgh Agreement was signed, started popping up on Facebook and social media, voicing my opinion for independence, as a lot of other veterans did. And this was picked up by Independence Live. And they got us all together through in Bears Den one night in 2014 for a Veterans Open Mic Night. And from there, even through the disappointment of that referendum result, from there we as Veterans for Independence have tried our best to keep our profile up and tried to to speak and take part in as many marching rallies as possible. So what I think some people may get confused with is when we join the forces, we give our oath to the Queen, not to the Parliament. So whoever ends up in what we're talking about here is not who's going to be our head of state. What we're talking about here is who governs us. So that's a parliamentary decision. So people can get the two mixed up. Yeah, I think also some people who may join the military may have been exposed to the least desirable elements of what goes on in Scotland with the various sectarianism, that type of thing. And maybe they find people of equal mind within the military, and it's the age-old thing, those that shout the loudest get heard, type of thing. Well, most things is we are normal human beings. We've, on many occasions, many of us have asked to be doing some unusual things, but that doesn't take away our humanity. We are, regardless of our age, when we joined the military, we are a cross-section of what that society was when we joined up. So we literally come from all religions, all parts of, talking for Scotland here, all parts of the country, with all political opinions. But if the greater public could stop stereotyping veterans, as supporters of the union, and just listen to what they've got to say, because there are an awful lot of veterans out there, I think, that can still be persuaded to vote yes, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to engage them in conversation and convince them, it is a good idea for Scotland to become independent. Like any other sections of society, we'll always have people that will not shift their opinion. Well, that's the case. I actually have no problem at all with someone wanting to stay in the union because they think that's the right thing for Scotland to do. I have huge problems with people wanting to stay in the union because they think Scotland would turn into some sort of economic basket case because of it, those type of things.